Hello, welcome to the AIU Symposium, the 9th online AIU Symposium, Atlantic International University. And the theme of this symposium is My Legacy for Future Generations. My name is Dr. Edward Lambert. I'm hosting this symposium, and our next presenter is Noeldar Gelage. Hopefully I said that correctly.
Yes, you have. It could be better. It could not be better.
Now, do you want to share your presentation from your computer, or do you want me to share it?
Please, can you share it for me?
Yes.
From your side. Thank you.
You can go ahead and introduce yourself while I'm getting the presentation ready.
Yes, my name is Gelage Noeldar Gelage from Seychelles. Currently, a student with the AIU, doing the doctorate in human resource management, and I have over 23 years of experience working from different fields of management. I was educated from England and currently have one degree in executive defense management and a master in MBA and a master in theology and leadership. Currently, I'm the technical advisor to the Ministry of Internal Affairs. I am very pleased indeed to have this privilege to be in these presentations. All the hard work of Dr. Edwards Lambert and his team of technician and management team, and all the presenters before this. It has been very inspiring and, of course, educational. And I think the legacy has been well said, because the legacy to me, it's as a combination of both experience and also educations and the wisdoms from our creator that we all been see in us. I think this is what I've gathered, and I'm very impressed. And of course, it is indeed great privilege to able to speak tonight. To start with my presentations, my legacy that I would like to leave behind, as I said, I have a quite experience from the police, from the army, and also a trained intelligence officer. I am very much indeed enjoying the last presentations that Francis has presented as a police officer, and indeed all the other presenters about the educations that they went through and all they are doing for to make the a difference in the world. So I will start with my first slide. The my legacy that I would like to leave behind is to able to teach these young generations the essentials of strategic management, because I believe any business or any organization without a strategic plans, we are moving there and there. There's no proper directions. So this is why I chosen this subject to present tonight. Um, from um, first slide, you got the introductions. I'll go briefly about it. Generally, what I'm saying here is that strategic management is a process. We can see the introduction. It's really started from the army, from the military point of view, whereby the general used this art plans all the strategies to move to with less casualty to capture um, the ground and dominate the ground. So from the army, the business people have um, now able also use such models to apply it into the business, and it is so fascinating. It is so fascinating because by definitions, it is all about decision making, action taking, and having managers and the senior management to to um, to to have a plan for the future of the organization. So any company that they are working for. So I could have the second slide, please. Can I move on to the second slide, please? Hello? 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 Can we move on to the second slide, please?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, please tell me.
Can you send the second slide, please?
Hello?
Yeah,
Yes,
can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Well, as you see, after this presentation, this is what we expected to achieve and know a bit. All those who are familiar with strategic management, and this objective is really after the presentation. This is what we should have as capture to have questions about it. This next slide, please. Can I have the next slide, please? Hello? Hello? Can we move to the next slide, please?
43 minutes.
Thank you. Here we have the contents. The contents is about, or all that I'm going to discuss briefly. As you see from the content, we have the strategic management process, strategic managers, leadership. The whole thing about strategic management is that obviously we have to have the human resource, human um, being defined behind the plans. We need to have the technology behind the plans. We need to able to place the right person in the right place to make sure that the organization is achieve its goals, achieve its objectives. And of course, without good leadership, as we all know, we won't succeed without good managers in an organization. We won't succeed. Not only has to be a manager in this particular case, is you need to also be a good educator, communicator, and also you have to be a good innovator. And because it is about innovations in strategic management, it is about able to steady the course of actions of your weaknesses within your organizations, and with your strengths, your the strengths of your rivalry and the strengths of the market. It's all about a strategic move to achieve better and better products and service you are delivering. And of course, at the you will see that the Potters, one of these Harvard University professor, also add to the strategic management to as a techniques how the manager should be able to use certain models to modify the plans so that they have the competitive advantage over the competitors. Um, the next one, we will find a relationship between technology and innovation. Obviously, we are living in this digital age. Innovation and technology is commercialize everything as we are now in this pandemic. As we already seen the past presenters, these we're using technology to able to bring the educations that the traditional one now is unable to operate. So we have virtual. So it is the same scenario within strategic management. We have to keep innovating. We keep using the latest art of technology so that we can obviously overpower and get the best of the best for our company. And the last one is the techniques that we use, the balanced scorecard models of organizations. These are another techniques that we're going to briefly talk about. Can we move to the next slide, please? So here we are talking about strategic management process. As I mentioned before, quickly about this, there is about 5 components about process of management strategic plans. First one is the mission. The second one is the goals. The third one is strategy creations. There you see the strategic creation basically covering the internal environment and external environment, meaning we have a situation in organizations that we do have the internal customers. Internal customers is our employees that make things happen, starting from top management to the last recruitment in the organizations. And the external, you will find that there is this environment competitions taking place in a strategic way, because there's always a dynamic in the business world whereby political plays part of it, the environment itself play part of it, the social take part of it. So we have to study those both of this internal and external environment to ensure that we can survive as a business in the strategic world. So then we will have what we call the implementation tactics. How do we implement our objective after we have completed all these implementations? Then we have the measurement that we're going to briefly talk about. Once we are able to have a strategic plan ready, we need to also put it in practice. So this is where we call performance measurements. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Here we already covered the 4 missions, as I said, the 4 missions for the top management, to make sure that once they have agreed on the mission statements of the organizations, the top management will cascade these goals that they want to achieve, so that the next level of management will be able to form the structures and forms all the strategies. For example, the goals of the first goal, the second goal, and define who's going to implement it, how we're going to implement it. So these are the 4 missions we are basically referring to. Can we move to the next slide, please? Strategic managers, as we all know, without a proper supervisor in the workplace, in a modern organization, there's always to have someone who's going to take the leads in the organization. So the strategic managers, basically, they are the one who can be either the general manager, who on top of all the manager, we have three level of this kind of manager within a strategic process. We have the what we call the general manager, then we call the corporate level manager, then the functional manager. And these are the people who make things happen. And the general manager oversee everything, and the corporate level, all these are the people who look for the business and work out all the plans to make sure that the services, the products, and all the employees is happy and the customers is happy, and that's the way, that's the main job of the strategic manager. The next slide, please. We already discussed about strategic leadership. Strategic leadership's role is to, as we all know about leadership, there's so many books have been written about leadership. It is the power that the manager can inspire and lead the group in a sense, in line with, obviously, with the human resource strategic plan, plus the other manager strategic plan, so that they can get the company to achieve the visions in time, as said. Thank you. Please, the next slide. Now, this is very interesting. You know, there's nothing stable in this complex city of, in this world. In the business world, as we know, there's always changes. Once there's no good strategy that has been planned, there's no change. There will be change in progress. There will unexpected change in progress. So the management has to always look forward to see that these this kind of movement take place, so that they can take action accordingly. So we call this as an emergent process, meaning that there are some unpredictability with the strategy that they have planned accordingly, but because of some kind, maybe it is political issue, maybe there's problems in the environment, maybe there are, for example, a typical example I can use it today is this pandemics, the COVID pandemic. Everything has changed. The business changed. The way that we used to conduct our market process has changed. The school has changed. So these are the ones I'm referring to in this particular slide. Thank you. Moving on, please. Improving decision making. What we are referring to here is basically we need to know that there are some phenomenon in business that the manager need to become aware of it. It's not something that it is so obvious. It's not, but it is psychologically affected your business, and these are these elements that bring down your strategic plan, because people might get discouraged, people might fall in the wrong, management may have caused some move that the workers or the staff are all unhappy, so they need to look out for these kinds of bias in the group, and it's basically called psychological phenomena or cognitive biases in the group. And there are about 5 of them that the managers in that group has to look for it and make sure that when they discover it, they take action immediately, because it impacted on your process of your business. It impacted on your delivery, impacted on your suppliers, impacted on your customers. So it will in fact impacted on your worker itself. And these are we call it bias. Actually, this been tested in the laboratory for quite a number of time, and they are what we call connective biases. This include some kind of um, disaccord within the management team, or some kind of laissez-faire attitude, some kind of we took it for granted that everything is moving, but we know it's not moving. The deduction is that the strategic management need to be aware of the psychological phenomena, and they need to take actions. Can we move on, please? Can we move on, please? Sorry, I think we moved too fast on that one. Can we get back the slide back? Yes, thank you. We have this one. Okay. So the stakeholders and corporate missions. I think every company have a corporate mission. I think the easiest example that I can give here is, for example, the AIU missions, which is to be learning institution committed to spreading pathways for greater cultural development, using methods that are sustainable in order reach the optimal directions of the individual, the world, and environment, while upholding and respecting human rights to achieve a higher level of cultural and human evolution. I think when we look at the missions of AIU, we can relate what I'm really referring to in these particular presentations. So the stakeholders, we all know that the stakeholders, we are the stakeholders. We are the one who really make things happening, and we are the ones, like the internal stakeholders will be obviously the workers, the staff, and then the stakeholder will be the bankers, the lenders, and other organizations that really we can partake with to make sure that our business move accordingly. So normally the corporate mission statement is the key indicator organization view and claims of its stakeholder, and the visions and the missions have a very similar relationship, as we can look at the visions of AIU. AIU, yes. We also have the visions, and I selected those two mission and visions of AIU because it make it so relevant for anyone who's listening, and the other presenters said that AIU do have its missions and do have its vision. So this is a typical example I'm trying to illustrate here. Thank you. Can we move on, please? Can we move on, please? Thank you. Now, for the theory of Porter's, as we know, Porter has been this Harvard professor who add on to the strategic theory that has been developed to other theory that was developed in 1971. Porter has developed this model to help the manager able to assess the development of the competitors, and he has selected 5 of these. We can see it clearly on this presentation. The risk of new entry, meaning that if you are a business entity, you need to understand the potentials of your competitors. You need to understand all the strategy they're moving. You need to understand what they are offering to the customer in terms of prices and in terms of services and so forth. So these are the elements that Pote has devised so that to help the manager of the business to take advantage of this technique to better of the organization. So the task facing the managers is to recognize how changes in the is happening and what opportunities and threats to formulate strategies responsive. Thank you. Can we move on, please? Can we move on, please? Thank you. So, as I stated earlier, the relationship between technology and innovations is happening nowadays. We need to move on with the state of the art of technology. For example, we used to have internet. Now we have Twitter. We have all other fast moving of device. So the business world need also to be innovated. We need to but we need to make sure that the cost of getting this technology is not overturning our operation costs. So these are the decisions that management, top management, and the owner have to take, and it has to make sure that we're not overspent on technology so that we are not making a profit. So these are the things that must be included in your plans, and that will also reflect in the business strategic plans, because it all costs and it must yield profit. Thank you. Can we move on, please? So balance score, we see it's a system that we use, a techniques rather, that it's been used to measure the performance of the developments of our strategy. It is to assess the competitive advantage of our inputs and our outputs, and also to assess the efficiency of our productions, to assess the quality and measure what we are producing. It is to determine the innovations and measure of products that we are producing, and if it is worthwhile applying such strategy that we have designed, so that we bring the best product to our customers. And I think I come to the ends of these presentations. Now I will be pleased to have any questions that you may have, please.
Hello, do we have any questions?
Yes, I have one.
What is your name and where are you from?
I'm from Tanzania.
Is this Aaron Broma? Aaron Boma?
Yes, I'm Aaron Boma. Yeah, I just have a very small question. I need to ask about the fundamental of religions in the fundamental of religions in daily life. Hello?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay, I'm just wanting to ask about the fundamental of religion in our day-to-day life, because if we are talking only about the technology and the education, and we set apart religion, I think the education and technology will not will not work proper. So how can you talk about the issue of religions?
Okay. Thank you very much for your questions, and I really appreciate this. You see, I appreciate this because I believe there are seven areas in our life that 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 we can stay in balance. Firstly, our spirituality. Secondly, our family, our social life, our finance, our physical exercise, our professional development, our personal development. And these things has to be in balance of life in our life, because without our spirituality that keep us in balance, we are not going to succeed in this world. And to add to your questions, um, I personally, after I completed my MBA, I tried to understand why um, why our creator has created us like this, because I took the master in master of art in theology and leadership, just because to understand the deity and the characteristics of the creator, and to understand the language that the pastor is talking, to understand the language of the priest is talking, and to see what about our spirit and in the spirit world. So I believe you have a very interesting point. um, um, you probably ask me again if if you are connected to your creator. Obviously, some people will not, but I am. And this is one thing I want to reassure you, and that is more part of my legacy when when for this generation, that we need to be thankful to the creator every day in our life, because this is where all my perspective, my energy come from. I think I answer your question. If you have further question on this, I'm willing to answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
So now we'll go to Amachi Onyenokwe. Onyenokwe Amache. Can you activate your microphone and give us a question? Ameche Onyenokwe.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
My name is Amici. I'm a student of the AIU. I'm actually from Nigeria, but I'm currently living in the Caribbean, British Virgin Islands to be precise. I want to add to what our presenter actually gave earlier on. I know we live in the world of technology, and everything is at the fingertips right now. Not everybody have access to technology, especially some part of Africa and some part of Asia. In terms of, economic, business, and technology, I believe everything is already, put in place for this to, to happen in terms of, checking of stocks and, keeping, update with finance and, economy and stuff like that. So my question is, what are the things put in place, especially for this, urban areas that don't have access to technology. Hello? Hello?
I'm listening. I'm hearing you.
Right. So my question is, in what way can we move forward in terms of, providing access to those countries that don't have, this kind of equipment to be able to, monitor or, keep update of their stocks or produce, and, be able to check the quality and, the data of, how much produce they could be able to, how much produce they could produce a day, or how much stock they could be able to, produce a day, in order for them to, be able to calculate their losses and, their gain and stuff like that.
Yeah, thank you for your the questions. It is interesting. Let me start it this way. I'm living in a corner of the world in Seychelles Islands, where you will Google it, you will find it. We have about 96 islands, 96 small islands, and then we have 1.4 million square meter of oceans. I'm talking about a huge oceans, right?
Right.
And the thing is, we are a 1,000-man unique from everywhere in the world, because we are a little dot in the Indian Ocean, and technology is something that the governments of any country could make it happening in the whole world, in the whole country, by applying proper what we call public administration planning administration, whereby that we have a planning that we take care of the taxpayers' money, and we invest it accordingly, rather than we need to have what we call transparency, accountability, and good governance, and that is a way of alleviating poverty. So if we able to have planning, development planning properly, it will obviously help a country to allow technology to be developed in the school, in the government, in the rural and society. So I think it's one way of looking at it, having a proper development plan for the government, to make sure that they have a flow of good marketing, they have a flow of business, they have a flow of good welfare. So there's discouragements of corruption, for example. So if we have proper good governing in place, each and everyone take its responsibility, we will have technology as we want it to have. But this is the way I can answer this question. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I think you answered the question very well. And I want to add one more thing. Now, looking at the economic aspect of nations and
Amici, it would actually be better if we moved on and let other people contribute.
Okay, no problem.
So thank you for your question. Elizabeth Adebate, are you ready to ask your question? Have to unmute your microphone. We can't hear you yet.
Hello, sir.
There you go.
When am I going to take my presentation? It's getting dark in Nigeria. It's dark here, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello,
Can you hear me?
Do you understand the question?
Yes, I sent my own presentation. When is it coming up? It's getting late here in Nigeria.
Do you have a presentation?
Yes, sir.
Actually, we have a list of presenters who have already been accepted to present.
Sir? I sent my presentation this morning.
Actually, I don't see you on the list of presenters.
Okay. You asked me to send my P-points, PowerPoint. I sent it this morning.
Oh. But are you listed to present today?
Yes, sir.
I'm looking on the list. I don't actually see your name on the list.
Okay, sir.
And everybody's presented up until now. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Well, you
Okay.
can send me a message in chat.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Okay.
Lulamile, Given. Do you have a question?
Yes, I do. I do, Doc. Let me introduce myself once more because I realized that I didn't do that. Anyway, mine is going to be a comment, not a question. It's not going to consume your time. I'm Lulamile Given Beju. I'm a South African. I'm a student at the Atlantic International University, AIU, and I'm pursuing a doctoral degree in business strategy and information and innovation management. Thank you so much. I find this presentation by Dr. HR, I'm not sure if I'm calling him correct, very interesting and very interesting indeed, Doc.
Thank you. Do you have more of a comment? Oops, something happened there. Let's go to Hector Rivera.
Oh, hi again. Doctor, on your presentation, talking about management on this way. Before the COVID-19, all business are open. The communications also open, the contact with people. Right now, what you think what was your biggest challenge now during this pandemic time? What is your biggest challenge in terms of management that you perceive? Thank you.
Is that my questions?
Yeah.
The question is,
comment?
what is the biggest challenge you see during the pandemic?
Yeah. Well, the biggest challenge is the business society has really gone down. I mean, in terms of unemployment, in terms of they changed the plan. They had to alter the plans altogether. For example, all the traveling has been interrupted, and the school has to be closed. The market has been closed. So there is a depletions in incoming profit for each organization. So that brings about an increase in poverty, an increase, less incomes is coming out, so people is losing job, and there's a total disruptions in the daily life. So these are this kind of interventions that government has to come in, because otherwise people we have cannot make ends to meet. So these are disadvantages that this pandemic has. I mean, left alone the death toll that we have seen, left alone that some government has maybe not tackled it as proper. Maybe they did not even have a plan for it. Maybe the strategic plan for the organization was not even on. Maybe they never have a plan. So now it's a lesson to learn, really, that we need to have plans for things, maybe even contingency plans. So the first level, second level plans. So it's a lesson we learned through this pandemic, and I think this kind of legacy that all the firm have to have alternative and how to have a plans. So this is, I can answer you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Lula Mila Given, let's see.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doc. Doc, I just want to link what I've learned from the input from the previous speaker and the problems that were explained by Tsidi, because I find the correlation here. He's talking about strategic management here. And I feel that the two fundamental problems that experienced by Tsidi related to unstrategic decisions that were taken at some point. Maybe I'll take only one, the United Nations mission as an intervention mechanism in Sudan, where Tsidi maintains that they didn't do their job very well in terms of undertaking the necessary plans to make sure that the mission becomes a success. I think the subject of strategic management provides an answer to that particular question as to what is it that has happened. Because for that particular action and that decision to be strategic, it is a product of strategic thinking. But that strategic thinking has to be informed by understanding as to what is it that the external environment holds. That is the importance of competitive intelligence. And also what are the available resources and competencies internally in the United Nations itself to make sure that that superior alignment is created between what the United Nations wanted to do and the material conditions on the ground. Remember the situation wherein they were given a mission commissioned to put up 3 tier levels for both South Sudan and North Sudan. That is on judiciary as well as legislative and executive level. But what I could gather from what he was saying, and I think it's confirmed by that input, you know, that there was no appropriate analysis of the environment within which that mission was going to be implemented or operationalized, because they never knew the balance of forces insofar as South Sudan and Northern Sudan. But they continued to take a decision and get that decision implemented without considering strategic decision maker enablers, which is that the business intelligence and the competitive intelligence. And lastly, let me take this opportunity for 1 second. The second one dilemma that he faced is when he allowed an underqualified driver to continue with the journey. I understand the dilemma he was in there, because he was just respecting one of the fundamental values that we share, especially in Africa, that of listening to the elders. But I think strategic management would have assisted them in terms of saying, okay, it's fine, but what is the cost-benefit analysis here? Because the cost would have been disrespecting, I mean, the benefit, the problem would have been disrespecting that old lady if she refused, you know, that request that the driver should continue driving, you know? Yeah. Basically, that's what made him to agree to that one. But in terms of cost-benefit analysis, if he looked into the cost, which was the actual accident which compared relative to the benefit of satisfying that old lady, that mess wouldn't have happened. So the notion of cost-benefit analysis is very much fundamental when it comes to strategic management, you know, as well as the question of strategic decision enablers, namely your business intelligence, which relates to internal capabilities and resources, and as well as competitive intelligence to know as to what is the balance of forces in the external environment. Correct. Thank you very much for such an excellent presentation. Thanks, Doc.
Can I talk?
That was a comment. That was a comment. It's not
yes.
a question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I talk, Dr. Lambert, please?
Are you able to turn up your volume a little bit more?
One moment, please. Is that fine?
It helps a little, yes.
Is
And
better?
then we'll have another question from Franklin Igwe, if you're ready. Or do you want to respond?
Yes, I have a question.
Franklin, go ahead.
All right, my question is on the UN sustainability goals. It's just a question for Doctor, and this is the question. Given that different countries have different capabilities to deliver on the sustainability goals, is it actually fair that all the countries globally are given the same milestones, the same time frame? Some countries are at faster pace of development, some are at slower pace. So I was thinking, correct me if I'm wrong, that it's probably not fair that all countries have to meet the same milestones at the same time.
Okay. Thank you for your question, Franklin. I think I have to correct something there. I'm not a doctor. I'm on this.
Oh, sure.
So
Sorry about that.
thank you for that. Regard to developmental goals, UN developmental goals, really this matter, I came across it, but I cannot really make a great comments on this because what we found on the first UN development goal, we found that we want to eliminate poverty by 2030. But now with the pandemic, it seems to be very difficult because it has increased the increased poverty around the world, increased poverty in all the rural society, as you know, for developing country. And we found ourselves in a very awkward situations, and the whole issue, I believe, is even the UN is doing what they have to do, but it's up to each and every government to ensure that their planning makes sense to what they are facing. Because when we look at the developments, the poverty, the cause of poverty is because of poor planning. We are not making availability of equipment for the farmers, for example. We are not developing, we do not perhaps have a development strategic plans for certain kinds of developments of roads, development of electricity, development of water conservation. These are the matters that bring poverty in a country, because we are not planning, say, for 5 years. We're not planning according to for the per percent per capita. We are planning in such a way that is not transparent. So these are issues that I think what we call it, the UN goal development is facing. Even the effort is coming, but within their own country, we are not doing enough. So this is my perspective. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Noeldar Gelage.
Thank you.
I think we've come to the end of your time. Do you have anything more you want to add?
I want to thank you, Dr. Lambert, with your team, and I want to thank every presenters. And we really is privileged to be able to come in these international presentations to leave a legacy that our generation will follow, and the country of the world will do better in the planifications of the for the people of the country. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you.
You can continue in chat with the conversations and questions. but we are going to move on to the next presenter. So thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Noeldar Gelage, Huro.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.